For years, the world expected Artemis III to deliver one of the biggest moments in modern space exploration: the return of astronauts to the moon. It was meant to be the mission that would finally place humans back on the lunar surface after more than 50 years. But now NASA has released a major update that is changing the entire conversation around that mission. Artemis III may no longer attempt the lunar landing at all. Instead, NASA is reshaping the plan in a way that few people expected. So what exactly changed? Why would NASA alter such a historic mission? And what does this shift reveal about the real challenges of returning to the moon? The Artemis program was designed to bring humans back to the moon using a new generation of spacecraft and technologies. It started with Artemis I, an uncrewed mission that launched in late 2022. This mission tested NASA's massive Space Launch System rocket and the Orion spacecraft by sending it thousands of kilometers beyond lunar orbit and safely back to Earth. It proved that Orion could survive deep space and re-entry at incredible speeds. Next up, Artemis II will carry astronauts around the moon. This mission will test Orion's life support systems, navigation, and crew operations. For the first time since Apollo, humans will venture that far from Earth. Finally, Artemis III was supposed to land astronauts on the moon. The plan was complicated. Astronauts would launch aboard Orion to lunar orbit. A separate spacecraft, the SpaceX Human Landing System, would transport them down to the moon's surface. The lander itself would require orbital refueling from multiple tanker spacecraft before it could reach the moon. Once on the surface, astronauts would explore, then launch back to orbit to dock with Orion for the trip home. Every step in this plan is a major technical challenge. Docking in lunar orbit, transferring fuel between spacecraft, and landing on the moon's south pole all needed to work perfectly. As NASA engineers examined the architecture more closely, they realized Artemis III was attempting an extraordinary number of technological milestones in a single mission. That realization led NASA to rethink how the program should move forward. Instead of focusing on the lunar landing itself, Artemis III is now being positioned as a mission that could validate the critical technologies required before astronauts descend to the moon's surface. The biggest factor behind this change involves the Starship-based Human Landing System. This vehicle must be refueled in Earth orbit before traveling to the moon. To achieve this, several tanker spacecraft will need to launch and transfer propellant to the lunar lander while in orbit. That process has never been performed at this scale during an operational mission. NASA recognized that relying on this capability while simultaneously attempting the first Artemis landing could introduce enormous pressure on the mission timeline. Astronaut equipment is another reason. The new lunar spacesuits are designed for exploring the moon's south pole, a rugged environment filled with permanently shadowed craters and extreme temperatures. These suits must undergo extensive testing to ensure astronauts can move safely while conducting exploration tasks. Docking operations add yet another layer of complexity. Astronauts traveling aboard Orion must transfer to the lunar lander in orbit around the moon. Performing these maneuvers far from Earth presents unique navigation and communication challenges. Taken together, these factors convinced NASA that testing the system first would provide a safer and more reliable path forward. To understand this decision, it helps to compare Artemis with the Apollo missions of the 1960s. Apollo relied on a relatively simple architecture. The Saturn V rocket launched both the command module and lunar lander together. Once astronauts reached lunar orbit, they transferred into the lander and descended to the surface. Artemis is far more complex. Orion carries astronauts to lunar orbit. The lander launches separately. Future missions may involve the Lunar Gateway space station orbiting the moon. Multiple launches, orbital refueling, and spacecraft docking must all occur in precise coordination. By using Artemis III as a testing mission, NASA gains the opportunity to observe how these systems perform in space before astronauts rely on them for a landing. Engineers will be able to study how spacecraft interact, practice docking procedures far from Earth, and test communication systems across the vast distance between Earth and the moon. This approach reduces risk and increases the chances that future missions operate smoothly. Instead of focusing on a single dramatic landing, NASA is building the foundation for repeated lunar missions. The Artemis III update highlights just how challenging modern lunar exploration has become. What was once expected to deliver the historic return of astronauts to the moon is now evolving into a mission focused on testing the technologies that will make that moment possible. By concentrating on validating spacecraft operations and exploration systems first, NASA is strengthening the foundation for future lunar missions. The moon may not see astronauts during Artemis III, but this step is helping build the transportation system that could support sustained exploration. And if that system succeeds, the next human footprints on the moon may be only the beginning of a much larger presence beyond Earth. So what do you think? Is this careful preparation the right move for the future of space exploration? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm genuinely curious. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on space exploration and scientific discoveries. Your support truly makes a difference and helps this channel grow. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.